Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 131 of the Reformed Gamers, a show all about theology, video games, and being cowboys out in the West. I'm your Arthur Simmons host. I don't know who Arthur Simmons is. I don't care. I'm your host, Logan.
And this is his co-host, Adam.
Dear listeners, we're going to be talking about some Red Dead Redemption 2 this episode. We'll get into that, but before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping brought to you by Dear VIP Luke Strain, supporting us at the $25 tier on patreon.com/thereformedgamers. New content up on YouTube. We streamed some Spider-Man, streamed some Red Dead Redemption 2, streamed some Fortnite. There's a couple different videos up there from our past streams that you can check out, as well as our Metal Super Smash Brothers trailer. Head over to YouTube. youtube.com/thereformedgamers to check that stuff out. Also, here's the thing, because I gotta let you guys know, I let some people know about this in the Facebook group, and as many people as I could, really, but to further get this message out, so our Twitch used to be twitch.tv/TRG podcast, okay? Now here's the thing. That doesn't exist anymore, because when I went to go log into Twitch the other day, my phone put in the Reformed Gamers, which apparently is an account I made 2 years ago when we started the podcast. 3 years ago? Whatever. And so now you can find all of our stuff, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, just by putting in facebook.com/thereformedgamers or wherever it is you're going. You can't do that on Twitter, because for some reason Twitter won't let us have the Reformed Gamers as our username, because, I don't know, I guess they hate video games or something. But you can do that on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. You can find it just by doing the Reformed Gamers after the web URL. You'll see links in the show notes and things like that. So just in case, if you think you are subscribed to us on Twitch, or not subscribed, if you are following us on Twitch, go there, double check, and make sure. Hit that follow button in case you're not, and we'll see. That way you won't miss any uploads, things like that. I'm going to be upfront and honest with you, dear listeners. We're recording this a couple days before Thanksgiving. The patrons are going to hear this and have listened to it and all this craziness, whereas you're getting it and like, wow, Logan is crazy. I've got travel on the brain. I've got coffee in my body, in my bloodstream. We're just, who knows how this is going to go, Adam? Who knows?
No doubt. No freaking doubt.
I promise there's like no alcohol or anything like that in my coffee, but my brain's running at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. So we're going to see how this episode goes. If it's crazy, consider supporting us on Patreon to hopefully make this better. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it before I derail this train any further than what it already is. Hello and welcome to the Reformed Gamers. I'd like to start the show like we always do with a little bit of what we have been playing, brought to you by Richard Marroquin. Dear sir, thank you for supporting us on patreon.com. Adam, good sir, when it comes to video games, man, what have you been playing?
It's been, I don't want to say slow, because I feel like I have been playing some, but there's just been a lot of life things going on. Started coaching basketball again, so that's a big chunk of my day. We had a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee this last weekend, so didn't take any systems with me. We actually stayed with some family friends, so it was kind of a getaway for Hannah and I, so tried to just kind of focus on that. Been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'll talk about that later. So outside of Red Dead, been playing a little bit of Fortnite, finishing up the season. There's one more thing that I kind of want to get. There's I think it's called the slithering emote. It's like one of the dances. That's like the last thing I'm trying to like get to. Once I get that, I'll probably be done for the season of Battle Pass. But so I'm playing that a little bit, but the majority of the time that I would play would be in the afternoons between like 3 and 5. But we have practice basically 3:30 to 5:30 or 5:30 to 7:30 every day, or 5 days a week. So my gaming time has been limited really to Red Dead, because I'm like, if I don't play this game, I'm never going to finish it, because it is so large and there's so much going on. So that's what I've been playing on the PS4. I'll probably have some updates on some things I'm hopefully going to be playing over this next week. I'll be taking my Switch only back with me up in Michigan to visit family. So probably be playing some Dead Cells, potentially looking at picking up Hollow Knight. I have also still been playing some Mario Party. Had a couple people over to play that, and so still really enjoying that. It's such a fun party game. So outside of that, I'm actually playing a mobile game. Well,
What?
I played a mobile game. I didn't quite finish it, and the only reason I played it is because it was nominated for uh, a, one of the game awards. I don't remember which category it was. It might have been best mobile game. It's actually a game called Florence. It's really it's almost as much of a graphic novel as it is an actual game. So you're kind of following this girl named Florence, and it's like looking at different stages of her life. I haven't finished it yet, but there's some little puzzles, and it's hard to even describe them as puzzles because they're relatively simple and they're not very difficult. But
Mm-hmm.
it's got a really cool art style. It's kind of got like the hand drawn art style.
Oh, that's
By the
cool.
time we record next time, I'll be able to tell you. It's like $3, and I had a bunch of iTunes credits. So per some of the people over at Kind of Funny Games, they're like, "Oh, just get the game, play it. You won't regret it." So far, I'm like, would I say I regret it? No. Would I say it's a game? No. But uh, again, it's very much. It almost feels like a visual novel of sorts with some different things going on. Like it's again, it's just. I'll give you a better, more in depth maybe review next week, but
Okay.
it's cute. I mean, you can kind of. I only played it for half hour, and I'm like halfway through it, so it's a relatively short game. It's only about an hour, hour and a half long. So again, it's called Florence. If any of you, sorry, I'm yawning like crazy. If any of you have played it, let me know what you think because it'd be interesting to hear some other people's take. But so yeah, that's what I've been playing. Not a whole lot other than Red Dead, and we'll get into that more a little bit later.
Right on. Well, I too have been. I don't know why I said I too. I haven't been playing either of the games that you played. Well, no, I played. Gosh, dude, it's a weird night. Okay, so
I
as far
hope
as
you played some Red Dead because we're about to talk about
I
it.
just I sat and stared at the title screen and hit X to start it. Does that count? I'm kidding. The game that I have been playing a lot of though is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Currently, I'm sitting at 65 hours in on that game. Finally beat it over this past weekend, and going after a lot of the side stuff, going after the platinum trophy, of course, because I have a bit of a platinum streak with this series. And here's the thing about this game. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a bit of a mess in some areas. I'm not gonna lie. But overall, here's the thing with this game. It is a good RPG, but it's not a good Assassin's Creed game. And what I mean by that is, in terms of it fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe and lore and all of that, it doesn't really fit, in my opinion. It's a little weird with where it is placed in this, especially coming before Assassin's Creed Origins. I feel Assassin's Creed Origins is a good blend of RPG elements and Assassin's Creed to where it makes sense. This one, I don't understand why Assassin's Creed is even in the title of this game. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But that being said, I still enjoyed the game. Still enjoyed a lot of the side stuff. The boat missions are great. The new visual customizations thing that they put in the most recent patch where you can customize the look of your armor regardless of what it is that you're wearing to really get the look that you want is really good. I really like that feature and it works really, really well. But the story, oh man. So for the most part, the story is good all up until the last quarter of the game or how it plays itself out. It just becomes kind of incoherent and then it ends very abruptly. And you can do the side stuff that fleshes that stuff out a little bit better, but it doesn't really do that great of a job. So, all in all, the entire package, it's still a fun game. There's a lot of fun to be had with the game and enjoy, but were you going to say something, bud?
No, I was just saying, yeah, sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's fun. I think I prefer Origins over Odyssey in terms of like the whole package. But, I mean, it's just, I think Origins had a better story. Origins' start of their story is confusing as all get out. But the way that story wraps up and the way and the way Bayek's character grows is so good. And I think there's something to be said about these games in this series to where the ones that really shine are the ones that don't necessarily stick to the traditional Assassin's Creed formula, like Black Flag, Origins. You know, they change things up a little bit and do things differently. But at the same time, I think it also goes to show that these games really shine when they focus on one protagonist. The problem with this game is I think they tried to make two different characters be separate, but they're really the same character. And again, it's a thing where they really needed to just pick one of the characters. If they wanted Cassandra to be the main character, fine, let her be the main character and then really flesh her out and give her a good story that resolves nicely like they did with Bayek. But they didn't do that, and so now it's just kind of like there it is. So hopefully the DLC closes some of those or ties up some of those loose threads. But again, all in all, it's a good game. If you see the game on sale, or hopefully by now, dear listeners, if you're listening to this on public feeds, Black Friday is already over. But Cyber Monday should be still going on. If you see the game on sale, I'd say it's worth picking up. I know I saw Assassin's Creed Origins, the gold edition that comes with all the DLC and stuff, was on sale for like $33 on Xbox Live. Insanely good deal. But again, if you can get this game half off or something, it's worth picking up and playing. I'm not going to disparage it or anything like that.
How many hours would you say you've put in, approximately?
Right now my time clock is at 65 hours.
Wow.
So I put a lot of time into the game. It's really, really cool. Really, like I said, I've enjoyed the game. The ship stuff, when you upgrade your ship, ramming other ships and breaking them in half, so much fun. It's incredibly satisfying. But that's what it is. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, fun stuff. If you didn't like the other games, this one isn't going to change your mind. So we'll leave it there. The other game I've been playing a little bit of, I've got close to 2 hours in on, so I can't really talk a whole lot about it, but I can talk a little bit about it. And that is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Let's go. It was funny because last episode I was like, I'm not going to play this game because I have no time. And then I played Red Dead Redemption 2 and I'm like, wow, I don't like this game. There's all that time that I can devote to Pokemon.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert. But hey, so Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, I like it. Okay, not going to lie. It's basically a remake of Pokemon Yellow, which is one of my favorite ones. And here's the thing. This is where your mileage is going to vary, because in this game, you don't have random battles where you fight wild Pokemon. You don't beat Pokemon into submission so you can capture them in this one, okay? You don't do that. It's like Pokemon Go, you throw the Pokeball at them or you throw the berries at them to make the catching easier. I like that because it streamlines the game and it saves me time. And the nice thing about that is that lends itself into how you have the experience share item turned on right from the beginning of the game. And so as you catch Pokemon, as you fight trainers, all of your Pokemon level up pretty evenly. I like that. That was an issue I had with past Pokemon games because I was always trying to get the experience share item as soon as possible, so I wasn't wasting time. But now, you get it at the start. I'm enjoying that. And all that stuff. I'm enjoying that you can customize Pikachu. You can kind of change his outfit. I named my Pikachu Tracer, so there you go, dear listeners. None of you can be Tracer because I'm already Tracer. And he's rocking this cute little flat bill hat with a little kind of like race jacket thing, looking super adorable. Pikachu is adorable in my game. I think I posted a picture of it on our Twitter. And I mean, like I said, it's Pokemon Yellow is really what it is. If you like that game, if you played that game, if you grew up with that game, it's great to play. Especially if you have kids, perfect game to play with them because it's got a co-op feature that allows you both to use a Joy-Con to battle, catch Pokemon, and things like that. Now, I will say the one weird thing with this game is that when you play the game docked to your TV, you play with one Joy-Con. You don't use both. You use just one. Or that little Pokeball thing if you get that, which is actually pretty cool looking. So it's a little weird. And kind of what I get why they did that to a degree because you really don't have a whole lot of controls in a Pokemon game, so you can just map it to one Joy-Con. And you use the Joy-Con motion controls to kind of throw the Pokeball to catch the Pokemon. But you can't use your Pro Controller at any point because there's no support for it, even though when you play the game in handheld mode, it's literally like playing with a Pro Controller. So it's a little weird in that regard. I'm not going to lie. That's really my only major gripe with the game is how they divvied up the controls and kind of shoehorned in the motion controls. But that being said, it's not kept me from playing the game because I'm still enjoying it. I'll just play in handheld mode. But like I said, it's a good game. I'd say it's worth checking out. But that being said, I understand there's some Pokemon fans who don't like those changes. They're just going to wait for the mainline game. That's fine. I don't disparage anyone that wants to do that. I totally understand that kind of mindset, but I think it's fun. I think it's great, especially if you have kids.
Does it look good?
Oh, it looks fantastic, dude. It's what I want a Pokemon game to look like from now on.
Nice.
It looks so good. So it's really nice, especially with it not being on the 3DS. You get the jaggies, and it doesn't look quite as good as it should, even though you see it there. You see it could look really good, but it's just not quite there. This looks fantastic. Looks so good.
That's the big thing with Pokemon, like, because I was playing. Well, the only one I've really played and finished was X on the 3DS. I'm like, it looks all right. I mean, it's better than I don't know. Some purists would say the Game Boy looked the best or whatever, but I think from what I've seen of Pokemon Let's Go, I mean, it looks like it'd just be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
just the clean version. Whenever you've seen everything be kind of pixelated from the 64 to the 3DS, like, there's never been the clarity that we get with a lot of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some of it on the Wii U, you know, with some of the other Mario games and Zelda and stuff like that, but this is like the first more traditional Pokemon that just looks really nice. So
and the thing about this for me too is, like, playing Pokemon again, it's just, maybe most of it's nostalgia. I'm not exactly sure. But there's something pure and innocent and charming about playing Pokemon. It takes me right back to my childhood, man. And especially since it's Pokemon Yellow, that's one of my favorites because it's more close to the anime. It's so good. It's so stinking good. This is one of those games that, like, is perfect for family time, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. Of course, by the time this episode comes out, it'll already be done and gone, but I mean, it's perfect for family gatherings. Dads, if you're out there and you want to play these games with your kids, perfect stuff. Or I guess wives too. It's a good family game. Good family
How
game.
How does Pokemon Go on the phone, how does it correspond with Let's Go?
Okay, so I haven't gotten to try that out just yet. From some of the YouTube videos I watched online, it seems like there's a way to link it. Again, I don't know how you link it up, but you can transfer Pokemon between your phone and your game. Again, I don't know how that happens. I haven't gotten to try it yet, but that's the only thing that I know of, is that you can transfer Pokemon between the two.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool because I got back into my Pokemon Go account on my phone, and turns out I had some pretty high level Pokemon in there and I didn't know about it. So I'll be transferring those things over as soon as I figure this stuff out. So there you go, dear listeners. If you're playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, let us know what you think. Twitter, Facebook, all those outlets. Adam, good sir, when we're not reading, though, we tend to dive into a book. We tend to read a little bit. So what have you been reading? Brought to you by Gareth Evans, man. What have you been reading lately? I know you mentioned some books over the past few episodes. Have you gotten to get into those at all?
You know, I have finally got back into some reading, which is, again, it's just been a weird last couple months. Like, my reading has just been down in many ways outside of just some devotional stuff.
Yeah.
And so, still in Abide in Christ by Andrew Murray, Hannah, going through that with Hannah. But the main book I've been reading, I'm still in the book of Luke, finishing that up soon in the commentary, the Christ-centered exposition commentary. But the new book I started that's been really, really good is, and I know Skinner, one of the dear patrons, he's a big fan of this book. He's read it, I think, once. He said his wife's read it twice. But The Gospel Comes with a House Key by Rosaria Butterfield. And I think I'm about 80 pages into it right now. My big plan is to also finish it. I've got to have it finished by next Thursday because we'll discuss it in a work meeting. Oh, man, I tell you what, the yawns.
You're about to fall asleep on this episode.
I know. If it goes quiet, dear listener, you just kind of be like, just give me a couple minutes to rest. Be like, all right, we're just going to go off quietly. Let Adam take a little nap. You know, that's parenting, I guess. But yeah, The Gospel Comes with a House Key, and it's been really good. It's really challenging. Some of the things that the way that her and her family have been extremely intentional about living just in community with their neighbors. The way that they have talked about strategically, saying how they will strategically live below their means so that they can do things like their grocery bills are just they're just crazy because they're buying food and there's people in and out of their house literally like every day, kind of open door. If you don't know who Rosario Butterfield is, she is a former professor, I think, at Syracuse University in English and literature. And she used to be a lesbian, and then she came to know Christ through the hospitality of some Christians and reading the Bible and just seeing the way that she read the Bible before she came to Christ. That in and of itself is a challenge to me as a believer, as she was doing it critically and then even seeing God use her critical approach to the Bible to really break her down. And so, I mean, it's a book on hospitality. And so, as a people, and having experienced some really awesome hospitality when I was in Kazakhstan, this book is kind of coming at that from another angle and talking about, you know, why you have people in your home, how you go about planning out your schedules and your days to making sure that hospitality, and we're rubbing shoulders with, people who even aren't like us. It's like getting to a point where you can have, for her, when she first got invited into this family, she was an enemy of God. She was a lesbian, and she just couldn't get why these people kept having her over and how they could love her when their views and thoughts were very differently. And so, very applicable to our current culture where everyone is angry at everyone and people can't be very charitable, even in conversation and in disagreement. And so, I'm really excited to get to finish it. It's kind of, she has adopted multiple children. She's invited a lot of kids in her house through foster care and things like that. So knowing that our heart is bent in that kind of towards those type of things, I'm excited to see how she continues to expound on some of that stuff. But so far, it's really good. It's one of those books that a lot of people have recommended, and I'm really glad that I'm and Hannah, my wife, she loves it, of course. So it was my copy, but she's already got it all marked up for me. So I'm underlining her highlights and making comments on the side. But it's been really, really sad. I almost recommended it to Camilla the other day when she's like, I've read 1 billion books this year. And so
I know, right?
And I'm like, all right, but have you read the gospel? Because I was looking at her reading list and it's a lot of fiction, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, let's get the Sharps copy of The Gospel Comes with a House Key, because I think it's just a really helpful and beneficial book to really any Christian family. Again, from where I'm at right now, I can see it going that way. It's just a great book on Christian hospitality.
Yeah, I know it's in my wish list on Amazon, so we're definitely going to be picking it up here, I'd say fairly soon. I know that much. So as far as what I've been playing, whatever, words are hard, even 130 some odd episodes in. One of the verses that I have been, I would say, meditating on over the past couple days and just kind of looking through or reading through again and again is getting a little lost at words here. Like I said, dear listeners, we don't know what's going to happen on this one. But the verses that I'm thinking of come from Galatians 4, verses 4 through 7, that says, "But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then an heir through God." It's one of those things that I think about is that, because we've been talking about identity with my students. One of the things we talked about last week was, God doesn't owe you salvation. There's no part of you that says you are entitled to salvation, but it's that God chose you. God has given you the gift of faith, if you're a Christian, if you are in Christ, to redeem you, to adopt you into his family, to break these sins, to break these addictions that maybe have been plaguing your family for generations, and the buck stops at you in Christ. Because he has broken all chains. He's broken those habits. He's broken that pain. And just because something that maybe someone in your family did, or maybe something you did in the past, does not mean you are doomed to repeat it. In Christ, it means you are given the chance to be better. You know, and I keep going back to this trailer for Spider-Man, where it talks about, there's a line in the trailer that says, like, some see self-doubt as an opportunity to become greater. And I think we as Christians, rather than doubting ourselves sometimes, you know, maybe God's calling us to share the gospel, or maybe God's calling us to do what he's called us to do. Maybe that's podcasting, maybe that's do sports, maybe that's do something that glorifies him, and we're fearful. We're like, oh, we can't do it. You can. God's equipped you. God has given you everything you need through him to shake off that fear, to become greater in him. And it's something that has just been rolling around in my mind over, like I said, the past few days, and really just this whole entire time I've been talking about this kind of thing with my students. But that's one of the beautiful things about being in Christ, is that you have a family no matter what. That's never going away.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see a physical representation of that in your local church. So all I have to say, get involved in your local church if you're not. Get in God's word. Really just study. You know what? Go through a Galatians, dear listeners. Read through that. If you're listening to this and you haven't gotten in the Bible in a while, go through Galatians. Read through it. See what you got. Hang out with your local church and see, just experience that family. Because that's a little foretaste of what heaven's going to be like. Of course, I say that, and then someone's probably going to have a terrible, like, someone's going to bring like a really bad queso dish to the potluck, and you're like, wait a minute, heaven's going to have bad queso? You know, but sorry, sad attempt at humor. But that's what I'm trying to get at, dear listeners, is just think about that, especially just as Thanksgiving, because I know sometimes that can be, well, I know Thanksgiving is past, but just the holidays in general, it can be a tough time. But that's when you lean on your church family. That's when you reach out to them and just like, hey, I don't mean to intrude, but can I hang out with you guys? You know, and the cool thing is, if you're in a part of a church that's very aware of that stuff, you'll probably already have several invites, you know. But maybe you're in a church that isn't aware of that, and you got to ask, you know. And it might be a little awkward, but I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. But I'll leave it there, dear listeners. I'll let the Holy Spirit kind of carry you on through the rest here. Adam, good sir, let's not dilly-dally any longer, man. Let's talk about 2018's biggest game, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm gonna start off at the gate, man. I already kind of said it. I don't like this game, man. Where are you at on this game?
I don't think I've changed much from how I've discussed it last time. I am having a good time with the game, and it's a game that when I'm playing it, I'm glad I'm playing it, and I wish I had more time to play it.
Yeah.
And so, is it a game that has maybe sucked me in like other games? Not necessarily, but I've been doing, I mean, every time I play it, I'm not even sticking just to story mission stuff. I'm still taking the time to do side missions. I'm still taking the time to get off my horse, interact with, you know, a random person who may be yelling at me, hey, come over here and check this out, or hey, I need your help. Like, I'm still doing those little things. So that tells me that I'm enjoying it. It tells me that I'm not rushing myself, getting through the game. I am still soaking it up. The best thing that I've done with the game recently is I finally visited a barber shop, and I went full Kratos. So I've got the shaved head. I've got this big reformed beard. I got this kind of fancy. It's not a cowboy hat, but it's like one of the kind of like top hats that it's got like the small build that kind of rolls up. So I'm looking like a ball. I'm looking like a thug right now, like someone who should be fighting Sherlock Holmes. In one of his movies. So
you have a cane too. Can you get canes in that game?
No, but I need one because that's totally like what my character looks like. So ever since I went the skinhead route, like for whatever reason, I feel like I'm playing a new game. Like I feel like empowered. I don't
Wow.
have the long cowboy hair. I almost went mustache and shaved head, but once I shaved the head, I'm like, this big beard is pretty awesome. So,
You can't get rid of it.
uh, I mean, I'm still enjoying it. Again, I've got some more general in depth thoughts that
Hmm.
I'll go through here in a few minutes. But how far have you been? How far have you got into the game? Because the first 3 hours can be a drag,
Yeah.
and so if you haven't really got much out of that, I can see why there might be some
Yeah.
frustrations. And the further I've got, the more it's opened up. And I'll say the further I go, the more I do enjoy the game.
Okay.
And so, again, there's still some criticisms that I have, but the
Yeah.
more I've played it, the more I have enjoyed it.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at. So how far along are you?
Well, let me say this real quick because I guess I forgot to say this. No spoilers in this episode. Neither myself nor Adam have finished this game. Adam, what chapter are you even in?
I think I just started chapter 4.
Okay. Okay. I'm still in chapter
So
2. I think, and here's the thing, I don't know if there's a way to check how much time you've put into this game. I haven't found that. Adam, I don't know if you found that. How much
I don't
time
think so.
how much time do you think you've put into this game?
I've got to be between 20 and 25 hours, I would
Okay.
guess.
Yeah, you definitely put in more time than me. I think I'm around 10 hours into the game. I'm still in chapter 2. The last thing I did was unlock a fence that you can take stolen carriages to make money. And
Yeah.
then I don't know if you found this quest or not, but you can hunt down like these gunslingers or go and visit them or whatever. So I'm, like I said, I'm still in chapter 2, about 10 hours in. My thing is when I play the game, I do try to take my time with it, but I wind up getting distracted by so many other things that go on in the world that when I'm trying to go do a mission, I hear someone like screaming for help, or I hear someone saying like, "Hey, come stop and help me" or something. And so I've been doing that, and then that usually leads to me being like, "Oh, squirrel," literally, and then I go hunting for the next like 3 hours and just building up the camp's provisions, bringing meat and all that stuff, and then taking some of the animal pellets to the trapper, and then I've got a really nice leather vest. I'm not gonna lie, it's very snazzy. Got a bear head on my head. If you're in the Facebook group, you've seen the picture, and I just this is one of those games where, and maybe I shouldn't have been playing this alongside Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it's one of those games where it depends on what I'm doing. But at the same time, I kind of zoom out from what I'm doing and just think, I just spent like 2 hours trying to hunt this deer down. And then, like, what did I really accomplish? And so, I don't know, man. I'm trying to.
That kind of, I want to jump in even there just real quick. That's kind of one of my biggest gripes in the game is there's not a lot that feels worth it.
Yes.
Hunting doesn't feel, the time you put into it, the money you make, it doesn't feel worth it. You're getting like $10, $15, maybe $25 for like an elite skin or whatever, one of
Right.
the rare ones. I don't feel like, I do the bounties because I enjoy them,
Mm-hmm.
but the money you earn isn't really always necessarily worth it. And one of the biggest things is I don't feel like I'm at a point, I have like maybe $3,000, but there's nothing that I need to spend my money on.
Yeah.
Like I can buy outfits, I could buy a new horse, I could buy food or bullets or new guns, but none of it is really needed or necessary. Like I've got a lot of guns just by doing bounties, just by
Mm-hmm.
doing story missions. Like they give me all of those things. And so as I'm playing throughout the game, I'm like, there's not enough incentive for me to want to go steal a carriage and then take a 10-minute ride to get to the fence guy.
Yeah.
It's like the time isn't worth because I got like a really nice carriage and they gave me like $15 for it. And I'm like, wow, that was a major waste of time because
Yeah.
I don't need the $15. And so that's kind of my biggest thing is I haven't been in a situation where I run out of ammo. I haven't been in a situation where I needed to go out and be like, oh, I wish I had a faster horse or I need to go buy a new horse. There's a degree where you need the warm or the cold, like weather gear. I've got some of that. So, like today, when I was playing, I bought like basically every outfit because I'm like, I don't really have anything else to spend the money on. And I kind of like mix up the look of my guy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of my biggest gripes is you could play through probably the whole game from beginning to end. And if you're just kind of getting stuff from your camp, supplies here and there, if you're looting people here and there, picking up items as you go, you could go through the whole game without needing to do much side stuff because you don't have a major need for money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of the whole game is like, oh, you're doing all this stuff to get money for your gang so that you can kind of go on. But at the same time, as I'm playing the game, I'm making all this money without any real purpose of needing to spend it.
Well,
And so that's kind of become one of my biggest things. It's just like, gosh, I wish I had like there was something I was working for. Maybe I could buy like a house or
yeah.
the horse is really whether my horse is super fast or has a ton of stamina, because I'm usually doing cinematic mode and I'm just holding down X, I'm not even utilizing a lot of those things. And
Yeah.
so it's just kind of frustrating that there's not the back end benefit for some of the things that you're doing.
Yeah. And that's the thing where, to me, the game kind of comes across as it doesn't really respect your time. And I get that they built the game as big as it is because that's what Rockstar is known for. And they made, let me say this. I don't want us to just spend like the next 30 minutes or something just railing on the game. I will say this. Game is stinking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best looking games that we have out now. The way that especially that opening with the snow and all that. Oh man, that look good. The lighting in the game
Best
is really
snow
good.
since God of War.
There you go, exactly. Best mud since Shadow of the Tomb Raider, even, I'll say, which was like maybe a month apart. But it's one of those things where, I spent like 3 hours or something literally hunting stuff the other day. And it was cool because I got a lot of provisions and stuff to take back to the camp to give to whoever it is that's the cook. And so I'm pretty much well stocked on that stuff. And then I sold the pelts and stuff and made money and donated that to camp and upgraded a few things, which is all well and good. But the thing is it's one of those games where when you're doing something, it's fun, like you're enjoying it. It's just the in-between points of riding your horse, trying to get back to your horse, or whatever it is, that just really makes the game kind of come screeching to a halt. And Adam, I want to get your thoughts on this because this is probably the biggest issue I have had with the game. And maybe it's the second biggest issue. I just have a lot of issues with this game. The core system. Now, for those of you that maybe haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2 just yet, or maybe you're just getting into it and you don't really understand what these things are, each of your health, your stamina, and your Deadeye have this core in the middle where the core system, it drains as you use it. So if you're getting shot, your health core will drain as you're running in the game. Your stamina core will drain alongside your stamina meter, so on and so forth. And so you constantly, at least for me, you have to refill that core because that core affects how far you can run. It affects how fast your health regenerates. It affects your Deadeye and things like that. I feel like I am constantly having to manage these stupid cores to the point where it's getting in the way of me actually having fun with the game. What has been your experience with this system?
I remember when they were they're kind of giving you like the tutorial with them and kind of breaking down what each does. I couldn't remember what the purpose of them, either of them are. So especially with like the Deadeye, there's some like you can take the tonics and stuff like that. It'll fill up the outside ring, but it won't do the inside.
Yeah.
And so that's probably my biggest frustration with it is there's not like one thing that you can do that like fills up really both of them. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I take this tonic over here, I do the chewing tobacco, but then I've got to go eat like two pieces of bread and take two swigs of whiskey so that all my stuff is maxed out. And I'm doing that while I'm in the middle of a firefight, which totally doesn't seem realistic of like, oh, my dead eye's out. Well, like, and I'm in a firefight. Let me take two swigs of my whiskey to make me shoot better. Like that makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of the thing. Like you said, it is kind of a distraction. Um, it's just okay. It's the semi-realistic part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if they would have just had one of them, okay, either you've got a stamina meter, you don't need. I don't feel you need the inside core and the outside meter.
Yeah.
If they would have done one of them, and so you're either eating food or doing tonics and stuff like that, to have to, again, I'm in the middle of an activity and I'm like holding L1, everything's going in slow motion. I'm like, bang, do that thing. Okay, it eats this. Bang, I do it again. And so it kind of takes away some of the immersion
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to be doing those things in the middle of whatever activity I'm doing. So, but again, because I have so much stuff, I've never been in a position where I'm like, oh, I wish I had more of X, Y, or Z. There's no burden to carrying those things. Like I can go to the store, everything's like pennies to the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
I can max out on everything, and then I don't have to mess around with it really at all after that.
Yeah.
It's again, my biggest issue, a lot of the things they put into the game are inconsequential. They don't really matter too much if you don't do them. They don't really help you if you do. Like you do need to make sure that your stuff's up, but really if you just go sleep, your stuff's going to replenish and you're kind of going to be fine. And so I wish more of the side things that they put so much time and energy to, I just wish they mattered more.
Yeah.
I wish that I could see the benefits of eating, or I would just snack on whatever stuff I had, but I would never go get soup or coffee from the campsite.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm like, so again, I don't feel like I have to. I
Yeah.
started doing it more often because I was looking at my character and it said I was kind of um well, I don't know, it wasn't malnourished, but I was underweight, I think is what it said.
He looks
So
like
I'm like,
he looks like
okay, well,
Skeletor.
I'm like,
From
maybe I
He-Man.
need to eat more soup or something like that, but too much of the stuff is just non consequential. But
Man.
I will say that again, as I've played throughout the game, like you said, the game looks really good. And I was just playing, I was like, man, like this really is a cowboy game. I'm like walking through a town. I've got my rifle on my back shoulder. I've got my dual pistols I've been rocking. I personalized. That was one thing where I'm like, well, I guess if I've got this money, so I personalized a bunch of weapons. I've got like I've got a sawed-off shotgun that I'm always rocking.
Ooh,
So I've
okay.
got it like all
H-
gold-plated stuff.
how did you customize your guns?
If you go to a gun shop, you can like I don't you can kind of upgrade them to a
Uh-huh.
degree and do some personalization. So
Okay.
I've got like different gold triggers and color combinations. You kind
Huh.
of get sketchings and stuff. So there's a couple guns that I use more than others. Like I always have the sawed-off shotgun, and then I have like Falco's revolver. So those are my main two
Mm.
pistols.
Yeah.
And then I personalize, like I've got like a rare sniper rifle. So I kind of personalize that because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be using this. So I kind of put some money into that stuff. And then you get all these different bullets. And again, you don't really notice the different things that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could go into almost every fight with just a basic pistol because of the slow motion and just dominate. But anyways, uh, some of the good things, again, the story has got better. There's been a
Mm-hmm.
couple as I've got into Saint Denis, I think is how they pronounce the city.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good story stuff in there, so it is building. The Pinkertons, uh, that thing. I don't want to do spoilers, but that relationship is building up. It's
Mm-hmm.
fun. The John Marston part of the story is I really find that intriguing because of the original Red Dead. So how they've kind of interwoven that with even his family. And there's a major story part, like plot point, kind of where I'm at in chapter 4,
Mm-hmm.
involving family. That's a lot of fun. So the storytelling has been really good,
Mm-hmm.
and just the side stuff. I know we're going to read some listener responses and talk about some of the funny things we did. Some of the side missions, again, they're fun, but and they're creative and they bring enjoyment. But again, I don't have a ton of reason to really pursue them out. And the whole kind of good cowboy, bad cowboy, like I don't know if I just went around killing everybody, killing every horse, killing every dog. I don't know how much it would affect the game. I feel
Really?
like it's just in all of those actions, I feel like are non-consequential. So maybe I'm ignorant to some of this stuff, but it doesn't feel like, and there's been multiple times I've tried to like hold my gun and aim it at somebody where I've just blew them up. I'm like,
Yeah.
dang it, like I didn't mean to kill that guy, but because the button selections are so janky,
Yep.
I just literally there was a guy, what was he doing? Oh, he was I was trying to like get him to open this door where there were some people were being hidden. And so I tried to aim my gun and I've got my sawed off shotgun. I'm just like blowing up and I'm like the game's like, well, I guess you got to go pry the door open yourself. And I'm like, dang it. There's been probably 10 people I've accidentally killed because I was just trying to threaten them by aiming my gun at them. But because of the button combination, I just light them up. So,
Dude, it's so interesting to hear how you and I have had such different experiences because I've had a ridiculously hard time shooting people because you have to hold down, or at least on my controls, I don't know how yours are. Like I have to hold down L2 to look at the person, press R2 to bring the gun out, and then press R2 again to even fire the gun. So I'm always like getting killed in the game because I can't pull my gun out fast enough. But you mentioned some reader.
sometimes it says like, if you're like in shops and stuff like that and you're not just kind of roaming around, it'll say like hold R2. If I'm thinking right, maybe it's saying R1 and I'm misreading it. But I thought it said hold R2 to aim your gun. And so I'm doing that and the guy's just like quick draw, he's just like and I'm like, heck man, it's like everybody, I'm not dueling every random citizen that I'm walking up to. You'd think I was with the amount of people I've just instantly lit up.
I can just see you walking into a town in that game and everybody just like, it's like the old Western stereotype. Everybody runs into the shop and trying to hide from you.
Like, oh no, Arthur Morgan. And I'm like, reach for the sky.
Oh, is that his name? Arthur Morgan? I thought it was Arthur Simmons. Gosh. I'm so...
No, what you're talking, yeah, it's Arthur Morgan.
I'm dumb, dude. Oh, whatever. So let's get into some reader responses because, like we said, we want to know what some of you guys thought. Micah Hendricks says that the game is almost too big for its own good. For me, at least, having put in a ton of time only to be at 44% story progress is deflating. The game is really good, but I'm just not motivated to go through the story. It's just not that engrossing. Whereas Luke Denner had a completely different experience. He says Red Dead Redemption 2 is the first game I have played every day since launch for an extended period of time. It is also the first game to draw real tears from me. The story was amazing, and the world is the most alive one I've interacted with. Let me see here. Richard Folt says, I was riding along on my trusty steed and got stopped by a damsel in distress. She was stranded on the road and needed someone to take her back to town, so I let her hop up on my horse. Then all of a sudden, it became clear she was actually Gal Gadot. Then I woke up and remembered I don't own Red Dead Redemption 2 yet. Sad. Oh, man. Eric Sinclair says, I can honestly say I've never had a game hook me quite like Red Dead Redemption 2. Even Uncharted, my favorite all-time series, didn't tempt me to play as much as often as this one. Or maybe it did and I'm just misremembering. Either way, I can't remember ever feeling this addicted to a game for such a sustained amount of time. I get the complaints about the game in the group and elsewhere. For me, though, I absolutely love it. The controls can be wonky, but I feel that's vastly overshadowed by the atmosphere, art, voice acting, story, side missions, pacing, and everything else that makes the whole package. And then someone else made a follow-up joke there. So here's the thing, Adam. Whenever I play a game and realize I'm not really digging it and then read other people really enjoying it, I feel like I'm the crazy one here. What's going on with this game, man? Why is it so I guess, polarizing. Or not.
Sorry, it's my bad. I've been mute my mic because I've been coughing a little bit still.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
Okay.
I'm over here. So sorry, dear listeners, for that silence. We'll just keep rolling with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I was saying was, um, I don't know if it's polarizing exactly because like I enjoy the game, but I just don't like. There are a lot of people that I mean, look at Luke. Luke is saying like he loves the game, and you see all these people saying that it's the best game they've ever played potentially. And man, I'm just not there. I think it's a really solid game, but I'm just not putting it all the way there because of some of the different criticisms. And now, again, I think I do believe that the more time you put into it, and I would maybe even encourage you go story, just go missions for a while, progress the story, move it along because the more and they do a pretty good job of character building with the different people. The more they kind of you start to get more familiar with some of the characters. There's one part where I'm playing and something happens to one of the guys, and I'm like, "Holy cow! Like that was nuts." Um, and you kind of feel it, and you hear Arthur sharing some different things about different characters. So I would say maybe recommend you doing that. I think you will enjoy it. Maybe avoid some of the side stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the polarization is you got the people. I don't know a ton of people who, outside of maybe even you currently, who would say it's a bad game. Um, I don't hear a ton of people saying it's bad. I think a lot of people just have more criticisms than they thought they would have.
Yeah.
In regards to the links, fast travels. So like, but you have a lot of people who are saying like we love this game, and they kind of just I don't want to say they deal with or they overlook, but the issues they have haven't stopped them from loving the game. I mean, you got some guy. I mean, people have been waiting for this Red Dead so much. I think of like Steven, admin, friend of the show, who he loves the Red Dead games, Red Dead world,
Mm-hmm.
and so for him, it's like this is one of the greatest games ever. I, I think they just really enjoy it. Some of it may be the Red Dead title.
Mm-hmm.
I think for some people, they're gonna hate Call of Duty because it's called Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that they're gonna love Red Dead, and because it's Red Dead. And now that doesn't mean that they just it. The game still had to be good, and I think it is still really good. But sometimes I'm like, we live in the hype world where everything has to be the great. I say this basically every episode. It's either my favorite game in the world or it's a bad game. And this is a really good game. I'm glad some people would say. Again, I'm probably higher on games like God of War than I know you are, and I know many of the dear listeners and patrons are. But I'm really big on God of War, and so I need to just keep a lot. There's so much of this is subjective, but I don't know how polarizing it is. But there's just you've got the camp that's like, okay, it's a good game, but it wastes my time, and then you've got the other people who are like, no, it's the greatest game ever because there's so much to do. Maybe it just deals with the amount of time that you have to put into it. If you've got all the time in the world, maybe that allows you, and that's not to say that everyone that's playing it has all the time in the world, but the time that we would say maybe feels being wasted, they're soaking that in more than we were able to.
No.
That's just some of my thoughts.
I think the biggest thing for me, and again, this is probably because I played it alongside Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I'm seeing some of the things that Assassin's Creed does that I wish Red Dead would do. And the main thing is like, I guess the two main things is I hate tapping X to sprint on both, like
Or
off
to
the
do
horse
anything.
and on. Yeah, and it just, and I know, and I changed the thing in settings where you just press X and then Arthur will actually run, but you still have to press X almost in rapid succession to sprint. And I hate doing that. When you play Assassin's Creed, if you just push the stick all the way forward, you're in a sprint. If you're riding on the horse and you press forward, you're in a sprint unless you're in a town. There's none of this like you have to keep pressing the X button. It's weird, and I don't like it. And I know Rockstar has done this in their games, and this has been a staple. But I think it's time to retire that mechanic or whatever you want, that control scheme. And then the other thing is, there's no fast travel. I know people have told me, oh, we'll go to the train station or upgrade your camp. I'm like, one, I don't have the money to upgrade and get that stuff.
And you have to pay your bounties. You'll find that out. You can't use carriages and stuff like that if you have a bounty. And yeah, I got the money where I could do that, but again, at the same time, having a bounty doesn't really affect the game.
Yeah.
Like, there's been 2 times that lawmen have like gone hunting for me, but I can kill them so easily. It's like, I don't know if I had a dead or alive or unlimited bounty, if it would even matter. Again, another part of the game that seems inconsequential.
Yeah. And that's the thing, going back to Assassin's Creed, if you have a big bounty on your head in that game to where the mercenaries are chasing after you, once you reach past that like second helmet mark and 2 or 3 mercenaries show up, you're in trouble. You better be able to you better have some quick reflexes. Otherwise, those mercenaries are going to make short work of you. And so in that game, like, you really got to pay attention to that stuff. But even then, in that game, if you go to a synchronization point, you've unlocked a fast travel point. And I get that's fine with me. I don't mind going to a specific location and unlocking fast travel points. But in Red Dead, I'm constantly having to ride everywhere on my horse and switch to cinematic mode and then pull out of it when the horse's stamina core is drained because the meter's drained. And then I gotta feed the horse, and then I have to go through that whole rigmarole again of setting up the faux travel thing or whatever it is. So I'm not pressing X all the time just to get to a train station just to fast travel. That's tedious. I don't want to do that. Assassin's Creed, I can just pull up my map and then go straight to wherever it is that I've unlocked. Red Dead
Assassin's Creed is fake and Red Dead is real.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's my problem is I want my fake games to be fake. I want my video games to be fake and not realistic.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's like you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you drive across town, you get stuck in a traffic jam and you have to sit there for 30 minutes. It's like, dang it, I just want to drive fast.
And that's when you put a remote bomb in your car and just blow up the entire traffic lane and then have the police come after you. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like, I really want to call this game a dumb game, a bad game. I really, really do. But I know that I tend to be hasty with these kind of things. You know? Yeah.
No, not you.
I've only had like 10 Game of the Years for 2018.
Yeah, that's not you.
But it's just the way that
you heard it first, dear listeners. Logan's gonna play this game a little bit more, and in 2 weeks is his new Game of the Year.
I don't know. It's just, I'm gonna say this right now: the way that this game is designed with its current mechanics completely pushed me away from the game to the point where I don't want to play it. I really don't, which is a shame because I love customizing the stuff. I actually liked the hunting stuff and trying to get a new vest or get a new hat. Or here's the thing, I'm kind of a vanity player. If you see my Monster Hunter profile, it says 50 hours, but it's really 40 hours of just playing dress up with my hunter, which is the same thing here in Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's just, if some of that stuff was more streamlined, I would enjoy it more. I know I would. But it's a shame because I want to keep playing this game because I like the characters. I'm interested in the story. I want to see how this all plays out. But unfortunately, I have to play the game to progress all that stuff. Just something I don't want to do. So, it's just, I don't know. I'm disappointed because I put a ton of time into the original Red Dead Redemption and had a lot of fun with it. And I guess I'm just a little disappointed in this one. I'll keep playing it because you're not the first person who's told me like, hey, dude, get to St. Denny or whatever it is. So I'll get to Denny's. Okay, I'll get to Denny's. I'll order the Flapjack Supreme or whatever it is, the Grand Slam, and see how good it gets from there. But that's kind of where I'm at. But it's we kind of round out this discussion, our impressions of the game thus far, man. Let's be honest. Whether you like this game or not, you get into some interesting situations in this game that are quite comical. We've got a few that we'll read, but I've got to share this one because this is when I started playing the game and started actually getting out and exploring. I came across this guy who was screaming in the woods for help, and there was a pack of wolves eating him or trying to get at him. And by the time I got over there, because I was still trying to get used to the controls and how shooting works and all that, by the time I scared off the wolves, it was too late for the guy. So he had bled out a lot. He had already lost a lot of blood. And he was just saying how, like, it's I've lost too much blood. I'm in so much pain. So I gave him a thing of whiskey to kind of like numb his senses a little bit. But he was asking like, hey, if you have like something else, maybe I can bandage this up and I'll be okay. Well, I had forgotten what a lot of the controls were at this point because I was still trying to get used to them. So how the situation ended was me staring at the guy like Michael Myers in Halloween, and I just kind of watched him die. Didn't mean to. But he just died, and then I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And then the loot option popped up, and I'm like, well, guess I'll take his stuff. And I took his stuff and then rode off, and I'm like, this game is weird, man. This game is just weird. Yeah. Adam, what are some crazy moments you've had with this game?
Well, there's I don't know if you've come across, there's like some crazy like preacher out in the middle of nowhere. Like I think I came across him in the middle of a lake at one point. And he's like,
I found him too.
I didn't know if I was supposed to help him or not. And I went up and I like punched him in the face, and it like pops up where it's like, and I'm like, he's a lunatic preacher, and so it's like reported like crime, like assault or something like that. And I'm like, dang it, like I don't want this guy, so I like chase him down and like knock him out or something like that. And so that's one. There's been some pretty cool. There's like, again, I don't want to do spoilers, but some of the side missions have created some interesting conundrums. I haven't come across the KKK yet. I know a bunch of people have done that. Maybe it's because I don't ride around too much at night because it's kind of hard to see, and I'm like, I want to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, the horses interactions and stuff, I'm like, again, you put it in cinematic mode and all of a sudden you're nailing a cart and you're just like, dang it, like your horse is like, what the heck just happened? And everyone's like, come on already. And I'm like, all right, give me a second. I mean, I've been killed by bears trying to hunt them. There's been
those bears.
A lot of those scenes, but I've seen more stuff on like the internet than I've actually experienced in the crazy stuff, but there's definitely some wild, again, I kind of talked about mine earlier where I've just accidentally randomly killed so many people that I'm just like, dang it, like did not mean to do that, but I don't want to like go back and reload and do some of the stuff over. So
yeah. It's crazy. One of the other situations I found myself in several times, actually, this was after I had taken down that bear that you hunt in the first game with is it Hosea is the older guy? I think it's Hosea.
I think I think so.
But I took the pelt to the trapper and had him make a hat. So you basically wear the bear's head on your head as a hat. And I walked into Valentine, and this is one of those attention to detail kind of things where I'm like, I appreciate this because it's pretty funny. People were giving me looks when I walked through town. People were making comments like, that's an interesting getup. Well, starting from there to all the way to drive-by insults. This guy came by on his horse as I left the general store, and he looked at me. He goes, he just straight up goes, "You look like an idiot," and then he rides off. And I'm like, what? Okay, so it made me feel bad. I felt self-conscious, and so I switched to a different hat. And then people were complimenting my outfit. Now it's amazing what changing one hat will do for you in the game. Mark Ferromi says when he was playing the game that he was galloping down a trail when some dude ran into his horse and they were both launched into the air. The guy showed up as a black X on his map, so he thought he was dead, and he looted him and decided that he would take his horse too. As he got on his horse, the guy stood up. Apparently, he had only been knocked unconscious and began limping over to Mark. He shouted at Mark as he pulled a shotgun from his back, and Mark shot at him just as two others rode by and saw him do this. So he chased after them, dropped both of them, and then a stagecoach came up over the hill, so he took those people out. And people just kept kind of riding by, and he just kept taking care of witnesses. So by the end of the situation, what started as him looting an unconscious man that he thought was dead turned into an absolute bloodbath with over 24 people left dead on the trail. Golly.
Jeez.
That is intense, man. I'm trying to see if there's any other stories on here, but that's the only one that I see in the comments. A lot of crazy situations in this game, man. Lots of crazy situations. I've seen people where they'll stop to help someone on the side of the road and then they get robbed and their horse gets taken, those kind of things. So this all goes to something that Luke actually said. I don't know if he said it in this comment or another one, but the game feels like the world feels alive. Like there's something always going on. It just feels lived in, which is a good thing to have in an open world game. And it's one of those things that makes me want to keep playing the game because I never know what's going to happen when I play the game. I really don't. And I love those moments of just kind of randomness that occur. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe I just
there is a lot of crazy things that, again, and because the more you go into like the different cities and stuff, you kind of get that feeling even more of like, now that I'm in a bigger city, there's a lot of different things. Like if you go down different alleyways, I mean, you start running your mouth at people and you got like two guys wanting to fist fight you. Like that was a really cool moment I had today where these guys were standing there and they say something to me like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, you better learn some respect, boy. And they're like, "All right, well, let's go." So I'm like bare knuckle fighting two of these guys in this back alley. So I mean, those moments are actually I really like those moments. Like I probably shouldn't be running around picking fights with all these guys, but I did. And then there was even another part where I think it's actual like a hunting mission, but you're like in this cave hunting like this, it's like a mountain lion and stuff like that, and it like takes out your buddy, and so you're walking around with like this lamp and. You can't see much, but so I'm like randomly shooting in the middle of nowhere. So there's a lot of those cool moments where it's like the animals feel alive, the other people around, they're not just like NPCs like just standing there. If you run into again, because you can't really control your speed, if you run into an area like, "Whoa, dude, what are you all about? Like, why are you running in here?" And you're like, "Oh, sorry, like didn't mean to disturb you."
Yeah.
So those are cool things where while some of the side stuff may seem, like they don't really matter, how you act in the world to some degree does. The people respond to that in a very realistic way. So that is a cool part of the game, no doubt.
Yeah. And see, man, hearing you talk about it, like every time I hear people talk about this game, I'm like, oh, I'm excited, I want to play it. And then, I don't know, maybe I just need to just get over it and just try to enjoy the game. But we'll see how it goes. Tune in next episode, dear listeners, where I completely change my tune and name the game of the year. Because
no doubt.
Because let's be honest, I wear flip flops a lot, and I tend to do that a lot with games. Is flip flop.
And next episode is our game of the year episode. So
that's right, it is. So who knows? Maybe I will actually name
perfect
it game
timing.
Of the year. It is perfect timing. But oh man, it's crazy how 2018 is coming to a close here, and as well as this episode, but. Dear listeners, if you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2, again, let us know some of your funny stories that you've had with the game on Twitter or Facebook. You can go to twitter.com/TRG podcast or facebook.com/The Reformed Gamers and let us know some of your funny moments and what you think about Red Dead Redemption 2. But before we let you go, as usual, some recos brought to you by Eric Bryant and David Skinner, because I don't think we mentioned or shouted you out in the topic thing. Sorry, we do love you. Adam, good sir, what should our dear listeners check out?
This is something me and my wife, we got to go check out the other day. Kind of goes a little bit into the book recommendation I was talking about earlier. But a movie with Mark Wahlberg, Instant Family. It's kind of it's a movie about foster care and adoption, and it's almost propaganda in a good way for foster care. Now there's some issues I have with it. They kind of at some point kind of pit birth mom against foster family, and I don't necessarily think that that's the way it should be. I get what they're doing and why they do it, but check it out, man. It's a pretty realistic approach to foster care. It's focusing on sibling pairs and older children, which is a major need in foster care. So check out the movie if you have any interest in that, and then find a way to get involved in foster care or adoption. Find a family that you know that's fostering and maybe give them a date night if you can. Or go over there and hang out and just help them, play with their kids so they can get laundry done or just hang out, husband and wife or something. Like, find a way to get out and to serve the families around you that are doing foster care if you don't feel like you can do it. Because, man, there is such a need and such a great opportunity to live your faith out loud in that area.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. That actually ties into one of my recos, and that is get involved in your local church, dear listeners. If you're not already involved, get involved in your local churches. Love on the people in your church and let them love on you. Maybe that's through babysitting. Maybe that's through, there's a variety of ways that you can love on your local church family. The other reco I have is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, especially if you have little ones in the house. This is a great game to play. I love hearing the stories in the Facebook group about how parents are playing this game with their kids and they're just having a blast and creating memories. It's one of the things about Pokemon is it's family friendly and you're able to build memories with your family. Good stuff. Check it out for the Nintendo Switch. But dear listeners, it's episode 130, 131. Which episode are we on? I lose track. 131 is we come to a close. I don't even know where I'm going anymore. Hey, if you like the show, if you want to help support the show and do all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/thereformedgamers. Even support as low as $1 a month gets you sweet perks, helps keep the controllers charged, and keeps the fridge stocked with Red Bull so we can go after our platinum trophies. I almost got the platinum for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We're close, dear listeners. It will be mine. As always, follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. You can go to youtube.com/thereformedgamers or twitch.tv/thereformedgamers or facebook.com/thereformedgamers. Or you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TRGpodcast. Again, Twitter, let us have the username, The Reformed Gamers. Please, I'm begging you. Head over to the website, thereformedgamers.wordpress.com for show notes, articles, all sorts of fun stuff. Dear listeners, next episode, Game of the Year. Let's talk about it. But until then, GG and amen.